The next speaker, I could not be more proud to introduce. He deserves a standing ovation. He's Canadian. I'm not going to say his name right. I've said it 1,000 times. Mark Verzyl. Say it for me. Verzyl. 1,000 transactions in a year. Annually. More. 1,200 probably. Wow. From Calgary, Canada. He and his wife, Karen, drove here from Calgary for you. That's why you're standing, all right? One second, Mark. Yesterday, I come into the convention center about 7 a.m. We're kind of prepping for what's going to be going on in the day, meeting the staff and stuff, and I see Mark and his beautiful wife, Karen, standing on the edge of the curb right here by the convention center, and I come by at like 6:45 in the morning, and I go, honk! And they're like, what was that? And I can see him looking at me the whole way, and I give him like 4 or 5 minutes, and then I call him, and I go, hey, dude, if you're walking around Salem, I know you're in town. Be careful. There's weird people here. They'll honk at you. They'll run you over. And he's like, why would they do that? He's from Canada. He's like, everybody's nice in Canada. I'm like, they're crazy here. And he's like, somebody just honked at me a few minutes ago. And I was like, that was me, bro. I was messing with you, but we got a giggle out of it. But stand on your feet. Give me a big, warm welcome for Mark Verzyl.
Water. Hey everybody, how you doing? I am so excited to be here. Thank you so much, Randy Burt. Oh my God, I'm gonna get emotional already. Thank you so much for inviting us up. I'm so honored and proud to be speaking today. I'm among so many amazing people and agents. It's really a thrill. The fact that it came from you is even better. So thank you so much. So #1 in Canada. I hate talking about that. I hate talking about myself. About a year and a half ago, I told Randy my story, and he was like, you have to tell that story. You have to tell it on stage. And I said, I don't know if I can. But here we are. So how about Kim Fraser? Oh, my God. Was she manager? How about Tawana? So good. Kim talks so fast. I was like, getting ready to write notes because I take notes at every one of these things. I want the breadcrumbs. I want to know the key, what makes them run. And then I looked after she'd spoken, and I'm like, all I wrote down was pink Cadillac. That's all I got. And it's not like I wasn't listening. I was just so into it and so in the zone. I couldn't write fast enough. But anyways, so Karen, my beautiful wife of 30 years, we just celebrated our 30th wedding anniversary. So that was pretty cool. We live in Calgary, Alberta. I started in the industry, God, a long time ago. I know I look like I'm 20, but just kidding. So I started in new homes, and I loved it. It was awesome. I loved every year that I was in it. I was in it for quite some time. It was great business, and then it wasn't. I decided to make a change. I transitioned into resale as a licensed agent. And the first year was fantastic. It was absolutely awesome. I loved it. Killed it the first year for a guy that was just starting. Really, it was fresh, right? Starting in resale. Second year, not so much. I got punched in the face. Not literally, but the business punched me in the face. So what happened was, Alberta's an oil-based economy. What happened in 2015? Oil absolutely tanked, no pun intended. And real estate tanked with it. So 2015 was a challenging year. 2016, it got ugly. That's when the layoffs started, tens of thousands of people, kind of 2008 USA style. It was really, really sad. Just imagine downtown, taxis lined up, people being walked out of buildings. It was a really horrible time. That was 2016. 2017, wow, it was even worse. How could it get worse? 2018, worst market I ever seen in my life. It was terrible. Now, normally, this kind of stuff wouldn't bother me. I've seen cycles. I know it comes out of it. But, I mean, the hits just kept coming. And the perfect storm happened for me personally. My doctor had been talking to me for a couple of years about taking some meds. And I had been putting it off. And finally, he put his foot down and said, you need to take this. And And this is on me. I didn't do my due diligence. And what happened was I started to take these pharmaceuticals, but what they didn't tell me was it was going to mess with me mentally. I'm not even getting to the tough part. At the same time, when they head home, I was working out heavily. I was in the best shape of my life, 2018. And I said bye to my friend, one of my best friends. I wasn't going to do this. I said bye to him on Friday. I'm good. He decided over the weekend that it'd be a good idea to take his life. Now you know why I didn't want to talk about it. The same weekend, my business partner, Brad, had a sporting accident, and he was dying in the hospital of a brain bleed. I cried for 3 days. I couldn't stop. It's amazing when you get into a dark place. The crazy stuff you tell yourself, it's terrible. So fast forward, I got off the drugs. I had to. It was absolutely killing me. I'm a pretty happy guy, and it put me in a really dark place. So thank God I had my wife. My business partner had a 50-50 chance. He came out of it, and he's absolutely resilient. So within a few months, I got back on the wagon. I was starting to feel a little better. I guess back in the saddle would be a better way of explaining it. So October rolls around, and I'm feeling better. I'm back out there. I'm starting to work with clients again. I'm getting sellers, so things are happening. I'm feeling better about myself. I read a book. It's called Sell or Be Sold by Grant Cardone. And actually, I listened to it. And I was in between showings and stuff, like just, as much time as I could spend listening to this. Then I listened to it again, and I listened to it again. And it gave me permission at my age, because one of the things I was telling myself was that I was used up and I was done. I was finished. Who was going to want to work with me? I was old, right? Just the stupidest stuff you tell yourself. It gave me permission to go out and crush it, but not just crush it, like 10 times it. I think I did about 18 deals in 2018. I didn't want to get out of bed. My poor wife, who's just such a wonderful soul, stuck by me. November comes around, I'm feeling really good, and I noticed something with top agents. Most of them were working with builders. So I thought, well, I have a lot of experience in that, so I'm going to call some builders. And so I started making the calls, and there was one that I didn't want to call because I knew the people, some of the executives there, and I thought they didn't like me. As a matter of fact, in my head, I knew they didn't like me. One day I decided I'm going to make that call because I got nothing to lose. So I made the call, but it was like picking up an anvil. So it was so tough to pick up that phone, and I dialed the number. And to my dismay, my disbelief, they said, sure, let's meet. We had several meetings, and then they agreed to bring me on. Now, let me tell you what this looked like. They had hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of lots coming in the suburbs, and that was my jam. It was going to be detached homes and townhomes. But the clincher was I had to move some buildings for them, pre-construction downtown. Now, I told you it was a bad time, and the market hadn't improved. As a matter of fact, this is still, we're we're at the end of 2018. It's still the worst market I'd ever seen. And condos downtown, nobody's moving condos. Like, it's just not happening. So stupidly, April 2019, we launched a building, 180 units, 13 stories. And if you don't know pre-construction, you have to have 70% sales, roughly, in order to achieve construction financing. So September rolls around. They call me and they go, we got good news and bad news. And I'm like, what's the good news? Well, good news is we're going to send you to Toronto. You're going to go hang out at the head office for a week. That'll be cool. And I'm like, great. Here's the bad news. We're canceling the building and all that. That means no money for Mark. I'm running out of money. So that's not great. But I'm still feeling pretty good about myself. So I go to Toronto. They happen to have a building launch. It's just two completely different markets. I go to Calgary, and everybody's just, like, they're just down in the dumps. And we're getting beat up by the rest of Canada. You know, you have oil, you're terrible, you horrible people, right? And, you know, the headlines are constantly like, Calgary is going to be a ghost town. Everybody's leaving. Like, it was terrible. So I go to Toronto, and it's just like rainbows and confetti falling from the sky. There's money everywhere. I go to this building launch that they have. I don't know how many units it was, probably about 400. 500 agents show up. It's like the Academy Awards. Everyone's dressed to the nines. I'm like, what's going on here? Music's playing, the room's dark, lights are flashing, it's free food and free drinks, and I'm like, this is super cool. VP leans over and he goes, this is how we sell condos in Toronto. And I'm like, this is how I'm going to do it in Calgary. So I call my business partner, and he's like, it's not going to work. We already tried that. We couldn't pay agents to show up. I said, we're not doing it in Calgary. We're going to launch this in Toronto. And he goes, wow, that's a great idea. So I go back. I talk to I'm just absolutely obsessed with the idea. And so I go back, and I pitch the builder on it. They don't really say anything. I'm just assuming everybody's on board. I go to the marketing meeting a couple days later. I'm like, okay, here's the plan. We've got, I hand it out to everybody. There's 10, 12 people in there. Here's what we're doing. You're going to do this. You're going to do that. And this is going to be great. And you're going to do this. And we're going to have that. And everybody dispersed. A week later, I go back. And I'm waiting for somebody to say something. I'm like, now you have to understand, I'm not an executive. I'm a hired gun. And sitting around, it's crickets. I'm like, okay, I guess I'm running the meeting. I'm like, okay, where are we at? Who's done what? What's the date? What's happening? Nothing. I'm going, okay, this is probably not good. And then I hear somebody go, you're aggressive. And somebody else says, that sounds hard. Yeah. Oh my God. I'm in my head, I'm going, oh my God, they haven't bought into it. We're done. This is it. My back is against the wall. I'm running out of money. I stood up. Now, this part was like I was in a movie. It's like a dream. I stood up, and it's like, you're going to the unemployment lineup. You're going to the unemployment. You're all fired. You're all going to the unemployment lineup. Do you understand? We're a builder that doesn't build. We're not doing anything. You're going to go back to your desk, and you're going to think you're working, and in 4 months from now, maybe 5 months at the most, you're laid off. And guess who's hiring you? Nobody, because nothing is happening. So we can either get up, get together, and do this in the next couple months, and you can be part of the biggest thing that's ever happened in real estate history in Calgary, or we can sit on our hands and do nothing. What's it going to be? And if you're not going to do it, get out of my way, because I'm going to do it. Silence. President stood up, walked out of the room, started laughing. And I'm like, it's probably a good sign. Everybody just scattered. It was like they just needed somebody to stand up and say something. Now, this is going to sound like it was easy, and it wasn't. It was 15-hour days every single day. It was exhausting. I had to fight with people every single day to hit what I understood as how it had to be done. And they all wanted to do it this way, and I wanted to do it this way. And I'm like, we're copying exactly how they do it there. We're not going to change a thing. Every single word they use, we're going to use. You can change it 3 years from now. But we got to get this down first, the way they do it. I went back and forth to Toronto 7 times. My wife says, She picked me up at the airport on a Friday, and I had a ticket to go back on Sunday. And she's like, why are you home? And I'm like, I don't even know. I just had a ticket. I hopped on the plane. And it's because, I've been telling the girls why you're away so much. I have to do a presentation, okay, on Tuesday coming up. And she goes, well, I've been telling the girls, this is coming from her heart. And she said, like, why you're away from so much. It's not just, saving the builder. Think of all the construction jobs. Think of all the people and families. And I'm going, oh my God, I hadn't thought about that yet. And I'm like, this is all on me. Are you kidding me? And then I told Brad that, and he started laughing. He goes, Mark, you got to save the babies. Save the babies, Mark. And that became our theme for the next couple days, just as a joke. We argued about everything up until 10 minutes before we launched. The day before, I literally was doing the presentation in front of 18 people, and I was like, because I hadn't practiced yet. I'd been so busy doing everything else. And I'm like, don't worry, I got it. I can see horror in everyone's face. They went to the bar that night and went and had some drinks, and they all trash talked me. They're like, we're done. He's not going to be able to do it. And I practiced for 10 hours in my room. The next morning, I practiced for a couple more hours, and then it was 11 o'clock, we were doing it. I got out there, I was nervous as hell, and crushed it. Absolutely, well, in my head, I crushed it. So this is how it works. We called hundreds of agents. Most of them laughed at us. And we had a small handful. Remember I told you there's 500 that showed up to this launch? They sold 2/3 of that building that day. Okay, that's why I wanted to do this. I'm like, we can do this. We can do it in another city with these agents. 25 agents showed up, but it was the right people, the right time. So we give them 10 days. We gave it to them exclusively. It's all yours. You showed up. You have 10 days to sell it, and then we're going to open it up to everybody else. We had 155 units to sell. Day one. They have to send in what we call worksheets, orders, okay? It's an open pool, so we might get the same ones on the same units. Day one, 20. Day two, 30. Day three, 35. Next day, nothing. Maybe a couple trickling in. Dry mouth is a real thing. My tongue's gonna fall out. I'm gonna start spitting dust in a sec here. Last day, 9 a.m., executives text me, how many have we got? I'm like, I don't know, we're at 45, I think. 10 o'clock, 50, 55, 60 as the day's going on. 65, then it kind of drags on a little bit. 3 o'clock, it's over at 5. 70, 80, 90, 100, 110, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 180 sales. We sold the entire building out. It had never been done in history in a 4-week period. My friend and business partner, we made over $300,000 in a month. We were broke. There was nothing left. It was amazing. Then COVID hit, crushed my dreams. Then Brad went out with his brain bleed. It was like he had a stroke. He went out and he sold 16 more. And I'm like, wow, we still have a market. We did it over and over, building after building after building, and it got bigger and bigger. It changed real estate for the entire city. That one phone call changed everything. The phone call I didn't want to make absolutely changed everything. We ended up doing over $400 million in a 12-month period, about 1,800 sales in 2.5 years. The longer, the bigger it got, It just kept growing. Do you want the secret sauce? Do you want to know how to do this? Do you really want it? Or no? I can go. We got more speakers. Here it is. I can't tell you exactly, but I can tell you this. When you have a goal, when you have a dream, that dream is going to be challenged. And I don't know why, but it's just the way it is, because life wants to know what you're made of. And those challenges you think are stopping you. You think it's a wall. It's not. It's a hurdle. It's a test. Okay? It's preparing you for what's coming next. Every time you overcome a challenge, no matter how small or how big, you grow. You grow stronger. This isn't about who you are today. This is about who you become in the process. Would you agree that this is a tough business? This is a tough business. And most people want to take the easy route, the comfort zone. And they want to take the comfort zone because it's going to be easier in the beginning. But it will prove to be more painful and a lifetime of struggle. And what's the hard route? It's rolling up your sleeves. It's getting dirty. You got to get up early every single day. You got to work hard. You got to work late. You got to do the things that suck every single day with the same obsession and the same passion as the stuff that you love to do. Eminem said, speaking of Eminem, he said, if you had one shot, you had one opportunity to seize everything you ever wanted, would you capture it? Would you just let it slip away? So let me ask you this. I have a question for you. How bad do you want it? How bad do you want it? Do you want it like you want to breathe? Do you want it like you want air in your lungs? Or do you just kind of want it? It's who's going to win the war? Is it you? Or is it a little voice in your head? Do you know the one I'm talking about? The one that makes your excuses sound reasonable? I'm looking at you, but I'm talking to everybody. It makes laziness justified, quitting feel like an option. Is it you? Are you going to win, or are you going to let that little voice win? It's decision time. It's commitment time. This is when you need to flat out decide, what's it going to be? Are you going to get up today and get things done? Yes or no? Are you going to make those calls that you've been putting off? Yes or no? Are you going to commit yourself to your goal no matter what challenges are thrown your way? Yes or no? Guys, this isn't a simple straight and narrow path. This is a rugged trail. It's a rugged trail of self-doubt, and it's exhausting. People are going to laugh at you. I got laughed at. People, you're going to lose friends along the way because they don't believe in you. Or maybe they just don't believe in themselves. You may find yourself like me at 3 o'clock in the morning with your face in your hands, praying to God to give you the strength to go on. That, my friends, is when you discover what you're really made of. That's when you discover you. Pain and uncertainty, that's when your true character is forged. The fire and the flame, baby. I know a lot of successful people. God, the world's littered with successful people. And they have one thing that's in common. When they get knocked down, they don't sit around and pity themselves, not for long. They get back up, and they just keep going. They take their pain, they turn it into rocket fuel, and it just makes them go harder. This isn't about how many times you get knocked down. It's about how many times you get back up and you just keep going. When that clock goes off in the morning and you want to hit the snooze button and you're tired, you're exhausted, you're sick of the grind, I want you to think about who you're doing this for. Is this for you? Is this for your kids? Is it for your wife? Is this for your husband? Is this for the person that you always wanted to be, the person that you always dreamed of? You can do this. This is your year. This is your time. This is your place. It's your moment. What are you going to do with it? Are you going to capture it? Are you going to let it slip away? You can be the victim or victor. You can do this. You don't have to surrender even when the odds are stacked against you. When you push through everything that you thought was possible, when you defy all the limitations that you placed for yourself, that's when you truly start to live. My name is Mark Verzyl. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I will see you at the top because I hear the view is incredible.